This is Good Morning Jacksonville.
All right, well, this is breaking news while you're sleeping. Check this out. A truck pulling away with a massive Confederate statue that had been pulled down with cranes early morning before the sun has come up. At 62-foot tall Confederate statue in the center of Hemming Park comes down overnight. It comes just hours ahead of a protest march headed up by Jag star Leonard Fournette and a statement on policy changes from Mayor Lenny Curry. Recording artist, comedian Lil Duval is going to be in attendance as well. We're live with more in just a moment.
Plus, some people here on the First Coast are worried over the summer slide being worse this fall because of coronavirus. And this morning, we want to hear your thoughts on that issue.
We're going to take you to meet a company working to protect astronauts while they explore space. Oh man, what a big day we've got here on the First Coast and a lot to cover here on Good Morning Jacksonville. So much rain yesterday. But the rain and the clouds always gives us a beautiful canvas for some stupendous sunsets and even some sunrises all over our First Coast. Look at this sunset after the storm. Photos, by the way, are from viewers just like you. We need you to keep continuing to post these on our Facebook group, the First Coast Weather Watchers. Join in and show us some of those beautiful sights around town. Welcome into GMJ on a Tuesday morning. I'm Lou Turner. We're so happy you're waking up with us. There's Katie Jeffries. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. So much news happening overnight, especially, of course, in Hemming Park with the topper of that Confederate monument coming down overnight.
Interesting timing for sure. We've seen protests, well, around the world. In fact, in the UK, where a slave trader statue was literally ripped from its pedestal, thrown into a river. So maybe getting ahead of that potential, as there will be a lot of people in Hemming Park today. All right, Mike Prangley standing by. He's got a look at our forecast this fine Tuesday morning. Hello, Mike.
Hey, good morning. We're like in nature's sauna out there. Let's take a look on the river. Yes, St. John's River. It's tough to see out there, isn't it? So that's the big thing this morning. We'll time those out, but first, how's it looking in the ViStar Credit Union Traffic Center?
Well, it's hazy out there this morning. Like you said, there's a lot of fog, so you need to be careful if you are headed out the door.
All right, Katie, thank you so much. Across our country, around the world, activists calling for change in the way police do their business and police reform, new steps towards ending systematic racism. In breaking news from overnight, city workers removing this Confederate monument. It's 62 feet tall, the statue on the very top, and in fact, the plaque there on the pedestal of the monument in Hemming Park as well. Removed, seen pulled off with a crane and taken away in a pickup truck. Later on this morning, in just a few hours, in fact, just across the street, a few feet away from this at City Hall, the mayor going to join in on a peaceful demonstration that's going to be led by Leonard Fournette of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We know celebrity Lil Duval is going to be in attendance as well, which means there will be a lot of people here in Hemming Park as well. Leah Shields joining us this morning with more.
Yes, good morning. What's left is the base of the memorial. It's a 62-foot base that's been around since 1898. So if you're not used to seeing this, you may still think that this monument is still intact. But in fact, the Civil War soldier that sat on the top of the 62-foot base was removed this morning, as well as the 4 plaques that surrounded the base. So we have video from this morning as our crews watched around 4:30. City crews finishing up their work here. They did it overnight, so we just happened to be in the area to see this happen. I have pictures from the Florida Public Archaeology website. We could pull it up, and that shows just what it looks like during daylight. So again, if you've never seen this before, you may still think this is intact, but in fact, the Civil War statue of the soldier and the plaques have been removed. Now, like Lou mentioned, later today, in just a few hours, Leonard Fournette, Mayor Lenny Curry, Lil Duval will all be here for a protest. And earlier last week, Chris Conley with the Jaguars spoke about wanting this statue removed.
A Confederate monument sits a couple blocks from here, praising the South's dark past. Our revisionist history would tell us that it's there to honor men fighting for states' rights. But true history would tell us that in the Cornerstone Address, Alexander Stephens said that our states are built on the fact that the Negro is inferior, and slavery and subordination is his normal and natural state. That's true history.
No word from the city yet on what prompted this removal. I checked Mayor Lenny Curry's Twitter. The last thing he retweeted was Lil Duval saying he was going to be at this protest today. And again, Lou mentioned that we know the mayor is going to be making some announcements today. Not sure if that has to do with this removal here, but we will see in just a few hours. Live in downtown Jacksonville, Leah Shields, First Coast News on your side.
Leah, thanks for that look. 6:07 is your time. Let's get in our fast lane now with some of the top stories we're following this morning. Today, Jacksonville Mayor Lenny Curry expected to release policy initiatives addressing racial inequality across our city. The mayor expected to make this announcement around 10 o'clock this morning ahead of a march led by Jacksonville Jaguars' Leonard Fournette. Going to be a lot of people there at City Hall, downtown Hemming Park. Community leaders hope those initiatives address some of the issues brought up by protesters here and across the country. Curry's office, as Leah mentioned, has not released any specific details. We will be, of course, carrying this for you on air and online as we update you. Well, a Jacksonville man now facing federal charges for allegedly carrying this Molotov cocktail at a downtown protest last week, an explosive. 27-year-old Ivan Zetcher was first taken into custody for blocking traffic, and that is when officers say they could smell gasoline leaking from the bottle you see in that screen there, in his backpack. They also found a lighter and a hatchet inside. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office now looking into a drive-by shooting on A.C. Skinner Parkway Monday. Investigators say the victim was driving when they were hit by a bullet, lost control, and crashed their car into the entrance of an apartment complex. We're told that victim was rushed to a local hospital. And the Georgia primary election happening today, and it doesn't just have to be about the presidential race. In fact, one of the big races to watch is for a seat in the U.S. Senate, where at least 5 Democratic candidates are vying to win that primary. In April, officials decided to postpone the primary election because of the coronavirus.
So let's turn now to education. We want to hear your thoughts on this. With the switch to online classes because of COVID-19, are you worried about your kids hitting the so-called summer slide? So educators are worrying that the pandemic will take summer learning loss to a whole new level, and some say it already is. Now to vote, head over to firstcoastnews.com/vote, or you could go to our Facebook page. Now Renata DiGregorio is on your side this morning with why experts say it is so important that your child keeps learning. Because Renata, how far behind can students get?
Well, Katie, this isn't even counting the couple months that we've had of virtual school, but just on a regular summer, you can actually have your kid fall 2 years behind in reading by the 5th grade, especially if your kid is from a low-income family.
Renata, thank you. Let's take a look at our curve in context as we talk about the coronavirus this morning. 31 new cases to report to you on the First Coast. And sadly, one more person has now died because of this virus in the last 24 hours in Duval. Now, over the past 2 months, we have seen a reduction of the number of new cases from around April, well, way back in April 7th when we had over 100 cases per day. Imagine having that to report still all this time later to mid-May when we had the phase 1 of our reopen. That's a steady drop to May 4th when we had that phase 1, the modified phase 1 of reopening. But look what's happened after. A bit of a spike, or if not flattened, a trend upward. Nothing like what we had early April, but a bit of a trend upward. Now, some of this could be attributed to the increase of available testing. Some of it could be attributed to the fact that a lot more people are around each other with now a phase 2 of reopening. But look at the last couple of days as well. Downward. Again, mentioning 31 new cases, doing better than the last couple of days. But with new testing, with more testing, you see more numbers, but the better idea and the more perspective is going to be the percentage of positive tests. In Florida, that number has continued to go down and flatten. In Duval County, the orange line, in fact, in the last day or so, a trend downward as well. All of this since that dotted line of the phase 1 of the reopening as well. We'll continue to track the curve in context for you each and every day as more and more reopens. Katie.
Thank you very much, Lou. So trending at this hour, new research shows that cloth face masks are an important tool to fight COVID-19. Plus, our Brooks Baptiste has the buzz about why some people are still waiting on their stimulus checks. Let's check in with him now.
We're kicking off the buzz with some news about your stimulus checks.
Thank you, Brooks. Well, as George Floyd's family prepares to pay their final respects to the 46-year-old, the suspect of his murder was in court yesterday for the first time. More on that after the break. Welcome back. In our national headlines, a judge has set a more than $1 million bail for Derek Chauvin, the murder suspect in the case of George Floyd's death. Now, the former Minneapolis police officer is charged with second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. Now, he was in court for the first time on Monday, and he appeared through video from the state's maximum security prison.
And today, a private funeral service for George Floyd will take place in Houston. Guests were invited by the Floyd family, and the church is expecting dignitaries and celebrities to be there. We will carry this service live on air and online beginning around noon.
And President Donald Trump met with law enforcement officials on Monday. He said the majority of police officers are great people. There are calls for law enforcement reforms in cities from across the nation, some of them embracing movements to defund police departments and put more money towards other programs like housing and education. But President Trump vowed there will be no dismantling of American policing.
Thank you, Katie. Let's look outside right now. We've got some patchy, thick fog. Okay, and that's the St. Johns River there. Some visibility is down near zero. Summer sea breezes return, Katie. That'll drop those highs in the mid-80s with lower rain chances, especially on Sunday.
We're in the VyStar Credit Union Traffic Center. Taking a look out there towards those roadways. It's foggy, it's hazy to start. This is a look towards the exit ramp of JTB eastbound at Kernan. So use those low beams when you see fog out there this morning. So you probably remember the historic SpaceX launch just a couple of days ago, but that mission really has just begun. On your sides, Eliza Powell spoke with a company that has worked with NASA and SpaceX, providing vital, life-sustaining technology for the astronauts.
Exploration is human. It's in our DNA.
Which is why the launch of SpaceX is just the beginning of a new space frontier. In Jacksonville, Eliza Powell, First Coast News, on your side.
Good morning, good stuff there. Let's take a look at the river and creek levels. They're receding. The Black Creek in North Fork out toward Middleburg is now falling, now down to 16.2 feet. Will be below flood stage by this afternoon. Good news there. And the St. Mary's at McClenny, 13.4 foot crest in the next couple of hours. Then that will start to fall this afternoon, and we stay below flood stage on the Suwannee River at High Springs. Our This Is Home forecast. Well, it's like a sauna out there. 74 to start, a high of 90, 85 at the beach. Let's check out that beach forecast. Salt Life Tuesday includes more thunderstorms. So your beach time would be this morning, and then we'll keep an eye to the southwest where the storms will move from. Surfers, 1 to 2 foot sets with a 7-second wave period. We'll have much more after this.